And we are up to number 9 in our review of the NASCAR Illustrated preseason driver rankings. You can pick it up in this edition right here. Bassmaster is sitting alongside Kris Johnson of NASCAR Illustrated. We're talking about Greg Biffle today, Kris.
The Biff.
The Biff, he's going to be a dad, right?
Yeah, he's going to be a dad. I guess it's July. It's going to be a girl.
Yep.
And I don't want to rain on the Biff's parade, but between that and he's last year in his contract at Roush Fenway Racing, those are two potential distractions that could sidetrack him maybe a little bit. You know, as pesky media people would always ask about your contract situation.
Right.
We'll probably start asking that question at Daytona.
Yeah, I hope so.
And, you know, that can be a distraction, but I think Biffle, based on what he did last year, the second half of last year, I think he's going to make the chase again and maybe could do some damage.
Yeah, it seems like for Roush, it was almost the polar opposite of Ganassi last year. A lot of consistency, not very much speed. Until the end of the year, Greg won 2 races and Carl Edwards won 2 races.
Right.
People think of Edwards as a championship favorite. Why not a Greg Biffle?
Yeah, it's funny. You don't think about Biffle that way until you go back to 2005, and I can remember that Texas fall race. He had a loose wheel, and I think the last time a driver not named Johnson won a Cup title, it was Tony Stewart in 05.
That's
and
right.
Realistically, it very well could have been Biffle, and that was just that was a terrible development for them. That was tough. I spent the good part of that race morning with him for a feature we were working on, and then he had that happen, so I kind of felt like it was my fault.
Yeah, he seems like a pretty talented guy, and, you know, Kris, we forgive you. But he's won a truck championship. He's won a nationwide championship,
Yes.
looking to be that first guy to win all
Triple
3.
crown, baby.
I mean, where would you put him talent-wise with respect to a lot of these guys?
Oh, boy, that's an interesting question. I mean, I think you got to start at the top with Jimmy right now. And
I mean, you got your Jimmys and your Tonys and your Jeff Gordons and your Carl Edwards. And
well, I don't think I'd necessarily put Biffle below Gordon at this point either, you know, because they're both kind of reached the point where they're elder statesmen. I mean, Biffle's 41 now. I think he's right in there with Gordon at this point. Maybe not the elite, but definitely in that middle tier if you had to stack them up.
Now talk about his chemistry with Greg Irwin as his crew chief. How do those guys function together? Is that a pretty good team over there? Pretty solid
Yeah, they're
team?
going on. I think they've been together 3.5 years now, and it's interesting when you interview Greg Irwin. There always seems to be this synergy between crew chief and driver that's pretty evident. And I think once you've been together 3.5, 4 years, that's only going to help you as you go along. So I would look for them to do good things this year. Biffle's saying 5 wins. I think that might be overstating the case.
Yeah.
But I think he gets 3 wins and a spot in the chase. And maybe, depending how all the other potential distractions shake out, can factor in there for a championship. I'd like to see it because he's a hell of a nice guy.
You know, one of the advantages he seems to have over the course of the seasons has been the pit crew.
Yeah.
Those guys are pretty solid, and that, you know, with some of these new rules, a new gas can and things like that, that could be an advantage for him.
Could very well be an advantage, yeah. And, you know, I just think what Roush Fenway did last year in the second half of the year after Chicagoland is where they picked up the pace, you know, and benefiting from taking some lead on setups from RPM and their teammates then. They were strong the second half of that year.
Yep.
I mean, it was like a different team. So if they can continue that progress into this season, especially the early part of the season, if he can come out of the gate and be strong in the early going, I think he's going to have a great season.
Yeah, absolutely. He had a shot to win the Daytona 500.
He did.
Almost got it done. Maybe this will be the year for Greg Biffle. He's rated number 9 in the NASCAR Illustrated season preview.
Pick it up.
Pick it up today. We'll be back to talk about, I don't know,
Another guy?
another guy soon.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.